On Qatar Airways presents ESPNcricinfo T20 timeout. We don't often get this in a multi-nation tournament, a bit of a dress rehearsal just before the final. How do Pakistan and Sri Lanka approach what is technically an insignificant game? They've both made it to the final. But if Mickey Arthur was coach, if Farveez Maharoof was captaining that side, what would they look to gain from a game like this? Let's start with you, Mickey. Is this one of those games where you could say, all right, let's rest some of our key guys and let's bring in the rest of the squad members and give them some game time? Or are you looking at 2 games in 72 hours and saying, nah, we must try and gain momentum now itself?
No, I'm certainly looking at 2 games in 72 hours. I don't think you want to be messing now with your momentum. I don't think you want to be messing with your combinations. Both teams are going in the right direction and playing some very, very good cricket. You don't want to break that rhythm at all. So I'd be going with our best combinations and asking them to perform the roles that they've been given.
Farveez, do you agree with that from a Sri Lanka point of view? Play your best team?
Likewise, definitely. Why change and winning momentum? And also, it's a good opportunity for the players who are out of form, especially like a Charita Lanka or a Babar Azam, to get into form and get into that groove. So overall, I think both the teams will be most likely will go with the same squad. But the biggest doubt for me would be team winning the toss. Will they be gutsy enough just to bat first and try and defend before the all-important final? So I think that's where both the teams will be thinking hard to how to do it.
Since you brought that up, let's ask you, Farveez. If you were captaining that side, would you say, yeah, let's do that in case we have to bat in the final? Let's not be surprised or doing it, for the first time. Would you bat first if you win the toss?
I mean, I will definitely will be tempted as a captain, but I will also have to speak to the coach, the selection committee, and the senior players and the rest of the team just before I make my decision. But personally, I would like to do that. Just be prepared. I mean, you need be prepared in big games to perform. So in case if Sri Lanka loses a toss in a final, it's always if you have just rehearsed in the previous game, forget about the results. I mean, you play the way you are, the same momentum, and you lose it. That's fine with going into the finals. But you don't want to be all of a sudden in a position where, right, we could have done that. We are underprepared in that way.
Mickey, same point. Bat first if you win the toss.
Yeah, very good point raised there by Farveez. I would be inclined to do something that you haven't done before, because you'd want a dress rehearsal before the main event. So if you had bowled first, batting first and setting would be a good option. As I say, really good point, and something that I'm sure the coaches and captains would consider.
Okay, on Pakistan itself, the manner in which they won against Afghanistan, Mickey, I wonder if that'll resort to them thinking of whether they are playing their best team. Would you be tempted to bring in a Haider Ali into this side, just maybe something different with the batting?
No, I wouldn't be tempted now. I think you're too deep in the tournament. So I think you've got to run with the guys who have played. As I say, because there would be clear role definition, so the guys know what their roles are. You don't want to be messing with anybody or any positions this late in the tournament. I think you'll see Babar Azam though go out and just try and regain some form, try and get some form, try and get a score behind his back. Because what we do know with him is that once he's confident, then it kind of just oozes from there.
All right, Mickey, last thing I want to ask you is, I'm sure as fans we think about this, is do teams ever discuss, right, they might not have played a lot of Naseem Shah. Let's keep that element for the final as a surprise element. No, let's not give that in a game like this. Was that ever discussed inside the dressing room?
Yeah, it has been, to be honest, but that's more with wrist spinners. So it's more with spinners that haven't been seen. So, if a team hadn't come up against a Hasaranga, for instance, then it's worth a discussion. But you've also got to then think of your player. Your player hasn't bowled at those guys, and he also wants to get some form and also wants to get some consistency into his game. So it is a discussion that generally comes up, but predominantly you play your best team, so you would play the guy that was going to play in the final for you.
All right, I guess asking for a prediction from this game is pretty insignificant. What I do want to ask the two of you is whether the result of this game will matter for the final. Will the team winning it become favourites all of a sudden? Because we have to look at these 2 games almost together. Farveez?
Winning is a habit, Ronak. You keep winning. It's a momentum. You never want to change. Never want to change the personal. I mean, I know Wanandu Hasaranga and my station and other Pakistanis have faced him that much. But I'm a firm believer you continue with the same lot. Even with Charita Sri though he's struggling for form, I'll still back him to go out there, express himself and just before the final. So you don't want to tinker too much when you're winning, Ronak. You just go with the flow.
All right, Mickey?
Yeah, exactly the same. Exactly the same as Farveez. Exactly the same sentiments there. You don't tinker. Winning's a habit. You want to go out and win. I don't necessarily subscribe, though, to the team that loses, then starts as the under favorite, if you like. I think you've got to produce on the day. So momentum is a little bit of a myth for me. Momentum in terms of player form is good, but in terms of team form, there are too many variables. All they want to be doing tomorrow is just nailing their roles, nailing their disciplines, and going into that final full of confidence.